Disclaimer: this audio story is an unofficial, fan-made parody inspired by Bob's Burgers. It is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by Fox, Disney, or the creators of Bob's Burgers. All characters and settings are portrayed in a transformative and fictional context. No profit is being made from this work. This project exists purely for artistic tribute and storytelling. This is a dark, fictional reimagining created for fun, not profit. Bob's Burgers, Tina's Cannibal Diaries, Season 1, The Fog. Episode 1, Gray Days, Dear Cannibal Diary. The world did not end with a bang. It fogged out. 5 years ago, the sky put on a heavy sweater and refused to take it off. Gray in the day, black at night, like someone turned the dimmer switch all the way down and broke the knob. I was 13 when it started. I am 18 now. People say the fog rolled in from the ocean. People say it boiled up from the sewers. People also say it tastes a little like pennies if you lick your lips too much. That is true. Things still happen in the gray daylight. Mail gets delivered. The carrier rings a bell that sounds like a bike in a haunted movie. The carrier walks fast and does not stop to talk. Conversation is for the light hours, which are still dark, just less dark. Once a week we get a flyer from the Fog Council reminding everyone to boil water, to report rats, and to keep all knives registered. The flyer is printed on the backs of old pizza menus. They ran out of fresh paper a long time ago. At night, darkness is complete. Street lamps burn as pale halos in a wet void. I used to think apocalypse would mean nothing happens. Actually, it means everything still happens, just slower and with more knives. Our restaurant is still called Bob's Burgers. The sign is chipped, and the neon buzzes like a trapped fly, but it glows. People use it to navigate. 2 blocks past the Bob's Burgers, turn left by the fountain, except there is no fountain anymore. There is only a round hole that steams all the time. Inside, Dad runs the grill. He is the reason people line up in the fog and press their faces to the glass. He is revered. People whisper about his seasoning. They also whisper about his heart. They say he puts love into the meat, and that makes it less like what it is. I watch him. He does put something in. I do not know if it is love or stubbornness. He refuses to let taste die. In a world that eats people, Dad forces flavor to live. That feels like resistance, even if it is salty. Mom runs the room. She now calls the place the House of Meat. She sings before meals. She makes up hymns about grease and hope and table manners. People cry sometimes while she sings. She pats their shoulders and keeps singing. Her voice is strong and a little off. I like it. Off is honest. Off reminds you we are still people and not just mouths. Gene plays music on pans and bones and whatever is not nailed down. He says he is a composer. He also says the fog improves acoustics. He is not wrong. Sound moves in strange ways now. Laughter around a corner can sound like crying right next to your ear. Gene can make a beat that sounds like courage. It helps when the line gets loud. Louise runs security. She has a logbook for trap maintenance and an apron with knives sewn inside. She does the math on crowd control and food supply and guard rotations. She speaks quickly and people listen because she has a history of being right and of being very mean to those who are wrong. Her bunny ears are intact. They used to be a joke. Now they are a flag. Everyone knows the girl with the ears runs the safe place where the meat does not fight in your mouth. Mort and Teddy help too. Mort handles the technical parts of the meat processing. Teddy is our wall and our welcome sign. He holds doors for old people and he body checks raiders. He also prays to Dad's spatula. There is a basement. I do not go down there anymore. That is where they process the meat. I used to think I was brave. Bravery has levels. The basement is below my level. I tried to help once. I held a flashlight. I set out tubs. I put on gloves. I almost passed out. The air is colder down there, with a chemical edge that feels like a decision being made without you. There is a drain in the floor. It sounds like rain when water runs, even when it is not raining. I do not go in the basement anymore. I write names in the ledger upstairs. The ledger is a big, cracked notebook Dad found in Mr. Fishoder's storage locker. I write down who we eat. It is not a law. It is my thing. Names feel important. If we are going to keep going, then remembering must be part of it. Jimmy Pesto's place is across the street. It is open too. Sometimes Jimmy and Dad wave. Sometimes they glare. Sometimes they pretend the other does not exist. Pesto's is our overflow. When Dad's line is 3 blocks deep and the fog council officers come through counting and shaking heads, people peel off and go to Jimmy's. Jimmy Jr. works there. He is 18 too. He dances while he carries plates. He says he dances to stay warm and to avoid thinking. His butt is still perfect. The fog did not change that. Sometimes I sit by the upstairs window with the ledger open and pretend I am tallying while I watch him hip twist past the smeary glass. I guess this is my romance arc. He will spin. The fog will coil around him like ribbon, and I will imagine a parade with nobody in it but us. I have tried to talk to Jimmy Jr. a few times since the fog took our normal. It is strange. Words are heavier. They sink faster. Jokes do not float like they used to. Also, we are competitors now. Kind of. He brings overflow business to his dad. I bring names to our book. We still end up at the same street corner with takeout bags and practice shrugs. He says, "Hey." I say, "Hey." He says, "Night is extra dark tonight." I say, "Yeah." Then he looks at his shoes because they are split and he has taped them, and I look at his butt because it is not split and does not need tape. He blushes. I do not. I am always pink on the inside. Outside, I am fog-colored like everyone else. People still try to live. There are schedules posted at the Fog Council board, laundry days for buildings, boil orders, dog walking permits because hungry shadows love pets. There are also school sessions twice a week in the old auditorium. Mr. Frond runs them like group therapy with math. He has a chalkboard with breathing exercises and also multiplication tables. He says resilience is a skill. He says it while wearing a headlamp and a poncho. He gives gold stars for neat penmanship and for not crying when a generator misfires. Sometimes Tammy raises her hand and asks if we are all going to die. Mr. Frond says we are all going to live for this period. He rings a bell to prove it. The health inspector still exists. Hugo. He shows up masked, with a clipboard sealed in plastic. He checks temperatures and seals and also vibes. He says he can tell if a kitchen is unclean by listening to how the fog sounds in the vents. He is probably making that up. He dislikes us, but he dislikes everyone equally, which is a kind of fairness. We have a currency. It is not money. It is favors and items and sometimes little bones polished smooth. The bones started as a joke. Now they are tokens. People string them on cords and trade them for batteries and salt and soap flakes. The Fog Council does not approve, but also does not provide soap flakes, so we do what we do. The docks are still there. Boats come in low and quiet. They bring plastic drums full of water that does not taste like wet pennies and barrels of vinegar and sacks of salt. Sometimes there is flour. When there is flour, we make rolls. I swear the line breathes differently on roll days. There are rumors. Some are about the fog. Some are about the other sitcoms. People say our town sits on a crack in reality now. Every so often, a laugh track drifts through, and a door opens that is not ours. Characters we do not know walk our sidewalks and stare through our windows like they have seen us on TV. When I go out with Mort and Teddy during gray hours, we follow the lamps and the rope lines strung between buildings. Ropes keep you from drifting off the path into the muffled edges where people disappear. We also carry small peppermints. The mint covers the fog taste for 1 good minute, and that is worth something. Mr. Fishoder sometimes appears, wearing a cape cut from a shower curtain and a cane that clicks. He talks about investment in lamp infrastructure and then asks for volunteers. Nobody volunteers. He sighs and volunteers us. Dad says no and keeps grilling. Mr. Fishoder shrugs and takes a seat. He gets the same ration as everyone else. Rules are rules. Even rich men eat evenly when the scale is meat. Private meals are rare. Hunger likes crowds. The line at our door is a community. People talk softly. They tell jokes with careful rhythms. They pass news about clean water and safe alleys, and where the fog smelled sweet yesterday, for no reason anyone trusts. Sometimes I hear noises through the floor when I am writing names. The basement breathes like a big animal. Knives on wood, water over steel, rubber soles squeaking. Louise gives instructions in a voice with no wiggle. Teddy hauls. Mort sharpens knives. I keep my eyes on the pages. If I look away, I will think too much about what names mean when they also mean dinner. Dad flips and salts and flips again, and adds a slice of something pickled and sets the bun at an angle that says he remembers diners and tips and reviews, and the part of life where taste was about joy, not proof of life. We still have Coochie Kopi. He sits by the register. The light went out long ago. I pretend it still glows. I am supposed to write about death in here. People are dying. They die quietly in hallway corners with blankets over their legs, and they die loudly in alleys with fists up, and they die on boats and roofs and in chairs with tea next to them. The fog is not mean. It is an indifferent killer. Hunger is mean. You can still fall in love. It is slower, but also heavier. Jimmy Jr. stretches by the door at Pesto's before a shift. He leans into the fog and it wraps his legs, and I notice every muscle because there is not much else to notice except knives and lines. He practices turns on wet concrete and does not slip. I clap once without meaning to, and he hears it like a pebble in a pond. He looks up. He waves. I wave with my whole arm, which is embarrassing, but also an honest measurement of my interest. He smiles. Mr. Business still lives in the alley behind Jimmy Pesto's. He is a cat shaped like a sad loaf. He jumps into laps without asking consent and purrs like a tiny generator. He has become a shared pet for both restaurants. We take turns feeding him. He eats anything. He lives in the fog. He is immortal. This is my official stance. The docks have water barges and salt sacks and rumors of clear horizons. People say out there, past the lamplight, the fog thins. People say sunsets still happen somewhere like fancy desserts. Captain Marshmallow says she saw stars last month. Stars. She might be lying. I hope she is not. I want to see Jimmy Jr.'s face in starlight. You cannot write that in a town meeting, but you can write it here. Dear Cannibal Diary, I want to see his butt in starlight too. That is research. For morale. Sometimes I think the fog is not a punishment. Maybe it is the earth putting us in timeout. Sit quietly. Think about what you did. No sunlight until you can say why you deserve it. Until then, we live like this. We sharpen knives and we salt. We boil and we breathe. We tie knots and blow on coals and hold ropes in the street. We clap for Mom and nod to Jean and carry knives for Louise and say thank you to Mort and Teddy. I keep the ledger. I do not go in the basement anymore. I do not need to. The world is already heavy enough up here. Dear Cannibal Diary, I can hear the mail bell. The day is gray, and that is as bright as it gets. I am 18, and the fog is 5, and Dad is lighting the grill. Hungry people are gathering outside in careful lines, their heads bowed, not in worship, but maybe in something like it.